Last night, we had the incredible opportunity to have an amazing meal with the owners and proprietors of Prime State Concepts.
What were some takeaways? What were some of the highlights of the evening for you?
He took us outside and was showing like none of our restaurants have a curb at valet. And we're like, why? And he's like, well, you ever notice that when your wife gets out? And what hit me was their trust that all of these things ultimately matter in a way that is psychologically significant to the person experiencing it. She won't know why, but your wife will say, when you say, where should we go tonight? Let's go to Ocean 48. In your head, it's just frictionless.
To me, probably stood out the most in the night. That was when Jeff got a call while we were at dinner that at one of the locations, some food had come out for someone who had a food allergy. Because we're asking them so much about process and SOP and like values and all this stuff, I'm like, how are you going to rectify that situation? And he goes, well...
Welcome back to another episode of the Who Cares podcast, the podcast for business leaders, entrepreneurs, change makers, difference people.
The dream weavers.
Who do care. I'm Jeff Jackel.
I'm Jay O'Brien.
I'm exhausted.
Why?
Slept for 3 hours and 14 minutes combined over like the 9 that I was in bed because I drank with you. I was with you last night and I ate a lot of meat.
So I'm to blame.
No.
I too slept horribly, but I don't have any technology to confirm how badly I slept. So I'm just trusting the way I feel.
Last night, we had the incredible opportunity to have an amazing meal with the owners and proprietors of Prime State Concepts. They own, in our area, it's Ocean 48. How many are there? Dozen plus.
Yeah, more than a dozen for sure.
Yeah. So Jeff Mastro, his brother Mike Mastro, we haven't met Mike, but I'm sure he's great too. They obviously responsible for Mastro Steakhouses. They've been doing this for 30 plus years. At whatever point they sold Mastro's and started this whole new thing, which is incredible. I would argue that it's the best experience of a fine dining restaurant in Orange County right now.
I actually was thinking that last night too. This is probably like maybe my 5th or 6th time going there. And I'm like, I'm pretty confident saying it's the best restaurant in Orange County.
Yeah. You didn't cut me off, but I needed to also say, as well as Oliver Baggio, who's been with Jeff for 34 years and is kind of responsible for experience and business development. And what I found really interesting that he was talking about last night is like giving to a community and becoming part of a community before you even arrive there. And essentially like,
yes.
The responsibility of that. And he's been responsible for doing things like that at a number of locations for as long as this thing's been around.
So I actually loved when he said that too. And going back to many Best Buy examples, when we launched this wave of standalone Best Buy mobile stores in 2009, one of the things on the checklist, you sold cell phones. one of the checklist items was to pick someone in the community or some organization to donate to. That was part of like your grand opening checklist.
As the manager.
Yep. And so I chose the Boys and Girls Club of Long Beach, specifically their music department. And
how'd you choose that?
I went and visited there and like learned more about it and like looked at the music room. I was like, this is a pretty shitty music room. Let's make it better. But the amount that I had allotted to donate was a little less than the amount that these gentlemen donate.
Sure. And what did they do with your $500?
Look, first of all, it's 4 times that.
Nice. Sure. That's for a music room? I mean, that's hopefully some instruments and...
Yeah. Hopefully real instruments from like Guitar Center, not Fisher-Price ones.
Sure.
But these guys, I mean, I think they said they dropped like 1.5 million into a donation into the community. And their whole perspective is we want to, it's something we talk about all the time. What we do often gets perceived as like, oh yeah, it's quid pro quo. Like if you do this, then I'll do this. You do this, I'll thank you. You do this, I'll send you, I'll show my appreciation. This is expressing appreciation beforehand, saying we know we're going to work great together. We're already very appreciative to be in your community.
Yep.
Here's a gift in advance.
Yeah.
Love that.
And the way that he said it is like, why wait? People think that like they have to become successful and become a part of a community before they can start giving back to it. Their whole perspective is like, no, like I'm a newbie here. I'm not, I'm not a local.
Totally.
Let me learn what's needed in the area where we can help and start before we even arrive. And I also think that like you can tell that they're doing it for the right reason. Like, yes, I'm sure the end result is that one end result is that people start to learn that they're coming and the right people start to learn they're coming. And people who are potentially giving to whatever organizations that they are giving to in the community then know that that's the kind of people in the company that they are, and they start day one with a bit of a leg up. But I really don't get the idea that that's why they're doing it. I think they're...
No, you can tell by who they are. They operate entirely differently, and that's why they're so great with it. I want to actually go over a lot of those stories. So, obviously, I had the pleasure of dining with them 2 months ago without you. This was your first time meeting them. Who did you like more?
That's so good. What's interesting is that they are very different personality types. They are very different. You can tell why they need one another.
What were some takeaways? What were some of the highlights of the evening for you?
I mean, from an experience perspective?
Actually, things that stood out, but also the conversation, obviously it's very rich in hospitality. And so there's lots of takeaways. In fact, when we left and got in the car, you're like, I almost wish I was taking notes.
Yeah.
Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them were ideas and things that they put into place. It's probably going to be hard even for people who, I assume that our listeners, viewers, either think or operate the way that we do, or they're at least aspiring to do that. I don't know what would be stopping them from feeling like they could do that or run business that way. That could be a whole other episode. But it's rare that we sit with people who are either on our level or above it, right? And that you're having a conversation with somebody about...
In terms of sentiment.
I'll give you the biggest takeaway. In terms, which I kind of put into words last night, but I don't know why it was sort of an epiphany. There's such a strength in doing things, however systematically, because they run at such a large scale, they have to do it right and have an SOP that executes. But to do things that are thoughtful and generous and really experiential, having nothing to do with really what the service they provide, meaning food and drink at a table, and have the trust, confidence and trust that it will all work out, right? There's such subliminal things. It's like their approach and our approach is the opposite of advertising. In fact, Oliver was saying that at one point, for us, if somebody's coming to us and they don't quite get it, you're like, look, you clearly want an advertising agency. That's not what we do. So, I mean, down to the details of when he took us outside and was showing none of our restaurants have a curb at valet. And we're like, why? And he's like, well, you ever notice that when your wife gets out, she's wearing heels and she's too close to the curb, it just creates this awkward 8-inch spot where she has to step. And, it's not going to, he literally goes, it's not going to ruin anybody's night, but it's a moment of inconvenience where she just has this one step. That's literally one step out of the 300 that she'll take while she's at the thing. And they're like, we want to take care of that step, one step.
Yep.
But the way that they do things with way you're taken care of when you first get in, and the thought that they put into the bathrooms, and what bathrooms have Toto, warming heated seats and bidets and all this kind of stuff in a restaurant. It's they're trying to do small nuanced things. Another good example is him talking about the seats, all the seats, and that there's enough space for your wife if she wants to, or girlfriend or whoever, to put a purse behind their back and not have to put it in some awkward place. There were a few other ones that I might not remember, but it was these tiny little details. And what hit me was, yes, it's an amazing attention to detail, but their trust that all of these things ultimately matter in a way that is psychologically significant to the person experiencing it, even though they'll never put it into words. The way he said it was, she won't know why, but your wife will say, when you say, where should we go tonight? Let's go to Ocean 48. It's just, and in your head, it's just frictionless. It's just seamless. It's just a great experience. And too many people want, an exact result from what each one of these things is. And they know they're never going to hear anybody say I love how the seats have this much space. I love how I don't have that one awkward step. They're never going to hear it.
Yeah. You can't pinpoint exactly what it is. It just feels effortless.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, family run business, they've been working together for decades now. And so one of the other refreshing pieces is that they lead with that sentiment of hospitality, generosity, convenience, and just similar to us, understand that what goes around comes around. It'll impact the bottom line in the long run at the macro level. I don't need to put every single thing under a microscope and the curb, for example, the depth of the seat, for example. These are things that are costly, and maybe you do run it through some sort of analysis and no one actually cares. They know that there is some element of caring about it. They know for just the human element of, this is effortless. I like it. This should be a part of the experience.
Well, that's why I started to push around questions of, when you're building out a new location, do you have a very specific timeline after which this is meant to break even? And the response, in kind of a roundabout way was, we're not willing to cut any corners.
Yeah.
So it kind of doesn't matter.
Like, it'll break even, win. I don't know, but it will.
Yeah. But it's sort of like in every one of those situations, you're like, okay, well, this curb change is going to cost you however much, and the seat change is going to cost you however much, and these toilets are going to cost you however much. And like, there would be no way to, I don't think, reliably pencil that. You don't know the response that you're going to get. You can trust you've done a good job in the beginning of letting people know that you're there. But the way that he responded was like, this isn't something that we even think about because like VIP is always better. Like, because these details ultimately matter. We believe in our gut, even though we have no way to measure it. He's saying, like, I have no way to measure the happiness quotient or whatever of people because of this curb, because of the seat, because of these toilet seats, because of, any of these things. But we know.
How about the creativity around date night for a year?
Oh my God. It's insane. Do you want to talk about whether that card's coming or it's a weird thing?
So basically, it's very similar to, I was a member at House of Blues Anaheim for 2 or 3 years, and it's like you pay for this VIP package, you get these VIP seats that are on the second story, and you get access to the foundation room and all these things. Well, as a part of it, you get X amount of tickets per year. I think mine was 18 tickets. So because you have them and you get the show list every month, you're like, well, I got to pick concerts to go to, so while I get the list now and there's a few bands I'm like, oh yeah, it's been a while since I've seen them, or like, oh yeah, I should see them. I haven't seen them in 10 years or whatever. I'm like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Like, maybe I'll carve out the time. Maybe but when I was a member, I'm like, it forces me to go. It's a great excuse for me to go. And so I was seeing a concert at least once a month.
Which is weird because you're such a big believer in like it's sunk cost fallacy, because the only rationale there is I've already spent the money. I've already in some way committed to this. If I don't use it, I'm going to lose it. You normally don't care about that, but
it's less about the money and it's more about the nudge to go do it. Like, for example, let's say that there was a concert one night that I wanted to go to that I spent money on. You're like, hey, let's go golf instead at Torrey Pines or whatever. There's no part of my brain that's like, I spent money on this concert. That's not how my mind works. I'm like, let's go golf. Yeah, totally.
Which do I want to do more? All things being equal, right?
Yeah, that's the sunk cost fallacy part, right? But if nothing is going on, it's like, oh, this is a little nudge. Like, you've got tickets to go do this thing. You should go do this thing, Yeah. And so similarly, in that same vein, I was, I don't know if you call it a member or what, but I had season tickets to Segerstrom for a few years when I was in real estate, and I had 4 tickets, and I would go every month to see a play or musical or whatever. And again, it's like, well, what's playing? I'm going to go see it. And so would I go pay to see a musical every single month? No, I wouldn't think to do it at that frequency. So what they have developed is what they call date night for a year, which is not only a gift card for 2 to go dine there once a month, and it's a use it or lose it situation, but it also provides VIP access to get in anytime you want. So at Ocean 48 location or any of their locations, it's like it could be a 3-month wait to get in.
And certainly on like hard days, Valentine's Day,
anniversary, Mother's Day, all this stuff. Yeah. So for them, you can just call this number, boom, you're in same day, no big deal. You've got credit. Obviously there's an element of them knowing who you are when you arrive, so you feel special. The frequency at which you're going, if it's once a month, you start to understand the staff knows you. You start to feel like you belong there. So they've built this whole thing called Date Night for a Year. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And yeah, if you went on a date night with Ash once a month, you guys are probably choosing a different place every time, just because you got to think, oh, where are we going to go again? Oh yeah, let's just go there. But like, you're just doing that to do it. If you had this thing, you'd start to feel like ownership of it, and you'd start to feel like, I belong there, and you would just go every month.
For sure. And what's really cool is that you get this like metal card, like it's badass. Like you get this card that says date night for a month. So like the intention, I was thinking about that a lot last night. It's like
date night for a year.
Date night for a year, but it replenishes the value of it every single month. I don't know whether there's multiple values, and they currently do it right now. I think the program that they've been doing is like at charity events and auctions and stuff, somebody gets this, like the biggest fundraiser or something. They're doing it as a thing for the community. But the fact that it says that, like the messaging and the intention around it, because if you just said, oh yeah, no, we have gift cards that they renew every single month with whatever, like it's totally different. Like putting the feeling around it of this is your date night, your thing to spend every single month. And then of course, like what we always say is like, they're now injecting themselves in some sort of hopefully important element in your relationship.
Yeah.
right? It's now like a part of your thing. If you go to a place for 12, romantic nights in a year, it starts to become part of your like
And you're
part of your
probably
relationship.
and you're probably referring that place a lot more.
Sure.
And depending on it's date night for a year, and so theoretically it's just you and your wife. But I mean, how many times are you gonna be like, hey, we're gonna bring another couple, we're gonna do this? And so the revenue grab is obviously like with any gift card, you're always gonna spend more than the value that you've been given.
And should you miss a month?
And yeah, it's use it or lose it, right? But I think building the habit, and I think Oliver even mentioned that, like, you've created a habit.
You're not going to stop month 13.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What other takeaways did you have?
I mean, that's like the big one, but there's little elements within there of things that they do that I think are just like no one's doing. So the idea that, so they've got a whole bunch of locations. We should find out how many locations they have so we can be proper. Maybe we do a little fact check after this. But each location, the managers, I don't know whether it's one manager or multiple managers, they have the charge. They are instructed to look for ways to gift and take care of people who are celebrating events at their restaurant. So they actually even have people inside of each restaurant who are responsible for ordering and putting together these things and writing cards. And so they said on any given night at each one of these restaurants, there could be 3 or 4 people. Maybe, a kid is celebrating their 14th birthday and they'll get them like they were talking about a girl celebrating a 14th birthday and getting her this little bracelet from a company that they work with. And it's like, what restaurant have you ever been to where it's, somebody's birthday, whatever, and the manager brings out like a proper gift?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane. And then the biggest thing, I would say my biggest takeaway was it is one thing and probably more impressive to decide to operate your business this way. To be so insistent on the level of quality, luxury, like personal touch of every little element of the whole experience. That's impressive. But the harder thing is executing upon that with however many staff. I mean, they said there's probably 600 people in that restaurant last night. There's got to be, he said, maybe 30 servers on the floor. They've all got assistants and, maybe there's 60 people, 100 people. I have no idea. Across a whole bunch of different locations. It's like, let's have this whole vision of all of this level of detail. And now the more impressive thing is setting a SOP and then keeping people accountable and hiring the right people who will not only like understand that, take it to heart, like believe in it as much as you do, to hold people accountable to actually execute at that level consistently. The server who was at our table, the same thing last time we were there, they're like second to none. The amount of shit that woman had to remember, memorize, practice, learn today, and also in front of the owners of the damn.
You got to recite it in front of the owners. Yeah.
I mean, like, and like Oliver said, I said, how many times have you guys heard that? So many times. Do you ever like stop them? No, they're proud to be as good at this as they are because they practice so much. They take so much pride in it. They want to show it off. We let them say it every time.
Yeah, I thought the way they respond to that stuff is true to their character. Like, so I asked the same question last time I was at dinner with them. I go, what's the deal? Like, you guys aren't incognito. They know who you are. How come they're not coming up like, hello, Mr. Mastro, like, good to see you again. And like, of course, why would I read you anything? You know everything. I'll let you know if anything changes or whatever. Because obviously, if I was running the restaurant, that's what I would do. I'd be like, I don't need to hear 5 minutes of what I already know. But that's the difference, right? So for them, I'm like, what's the deal? Like, why do you let them go through the whole thing? Jeff's like, oh, we want to hear it, and they work really hard on it, and they want to show that, I'm like, that's really cool. And then similarly, when we were talking about grand opening, and they're like, well, they train really, really hard for 9 weeks, and then they work under staff that's coming from other locations, so that they can be like trained and not too overwhelmed. But then intentionally, they don't book out like they could for a soft launch or grand opening for the first few months. So they're intentionally sacrificing revenue. And the way I would probably respond to that for an explanation would be, we don't want to get our asses handed to us right out of the gate without like working out all the kinks. We don't want to be caught with our pants down. We don't want bad reviews.
So that's what I thought exactly that. I thought what you guys mean is you don't want customers to have a bad experience because you're spread too thin.
Yeah.
That's not what they meant.
But their response was they work so hard and what would we be doing as a company if we just opened the floodgates at them and kind of set them up to fail? And you know, and if not setting up to fail, at least overwhelming them.
Sure.
You know, and it's like they don't deserve that. They don't deserve to be beaten up like that right out of the gate. They should get eased into it until they get their sea legs, and then once they have it, the trained personnel from the other locations depart, and now they're on their own, and they could slowly release more people into the dining room. I was like, that's a very thoughtful way to think about this.
So thoughtful, and very like Richard Branson and Tony Hsieh, right? Like they're basically saying like, we're both thinking, oh, you mean so customers don't have a bad review and don't a bad time and say something about it. Like, no. We're thinking about our employees first.
Yeah.
The team here. We want them to feel confident and to get their practice in and whatever.
So there's another thing that happened that to me probably stood out the most in the night. And that was when Jeff got a call while we were at dinner that at one of the locations, some food had come out for someone who had a food allergy.
Yep.
So he gets notified by their VP of operations that the guest left. So he's like, holy shit, they left? Like, okay, this is a serious problem. Oliver, you could tell immediately, was like, okay, this is like, what's going on, whatever. So they're going to handle it.
He jumped up from the table and called somebody. You see that?
Yes. Yeah. And then I, you know, because we're asking them so much about process and SOP and like values and all this stuff, I'm like, how are you going to rectify that situation? Like, whatever we need to do, we'll get it. Whatever we need to do, get him back. And Oliver even said, like, I'll fly out there tomorrow if I have to. And it's like, okay, wow. My question was, why did they call you? You know, like, for a few reasons. Like, one, is that process buttoned up enough where it can get handled without you knowing about it? Do they not know how to handle it? So that's why they call you? You know, like, couldn't they sweep this under the rug if they really were scared of their boss? Like, things like that. And he goes, well, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to find out regardless because it's going to show up on the comp report. I'm like, what's the comp report? Well, every morning he gets a list from all locations for every single thing that was comped. Now, again, the first place I go in my mind is, why did we comp this stuff? What's the reason behind it? First place he goes in his mind is, we comped something because there was a bad experience and I want to rectify the bad experience. You know? Mm-hmm. So it's not justifying the zeroing out of something like, okay, I need to make sure that this was properly justified. It's like, this was comped, which meant we messed up, which means I need to make it better, you know? And to lead with that speaks volumes.
100%. Well, did you catch Oliver saying, we'll do anything that it takes. Not only will we get this person to come back, make sure that we get them to come back, they will become, a raving fan of ours, or however he said it.
Yeah.
They will become, a more frequent diner with us.
Yeah, and that's how it happens, right? I mean, just like we've almost belabored that fact. It's like if you miss the mark on something and someone makes it their business to get you back and to make things right and do whatever it takes, you become loyal to that person, you know, or that company.
But it's so against the natural human instinct that they view it, and we do, as an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Like in the moment, they view it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
So we've talked a bunch about when somebody's upset, instead of viewing it as, oh man, this is, of course you got to do the trauma and whatnot, but that like this is an opportunity to make them even happier than they were prior to, versus just like viewing the negative.
What was your favorite thing to eat there?
Well, that probably was the best filet I've ever had in my life. Quite honestly, yours was very good as well. I had a little bite of that. But the most interesting thing was that the caviar ice cream cone thing, the appetizer.
Yeah, that was insane.
That was insane. Just popped in your mouth. Oh,
that was so good. I could take down 20 of those.
Easy. Minimum. I could just have that.
Yeah.
The whole night.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when I think of the best restaurant in Orange County, there's 3 top things that come to me: service, ambiance, and food. So it's like that place checks all those boxes. The service is incredible. The ambiance is great. And the food, really, I cannot think of like better food. You know, I don't have a criticism to say this could have been better for any dish I've ever had there.
Yeah. Sides are all great too. Yeah. Everything is so good. Very, very heavy, very filling.
Ocean 48. That's the spot, Newport Beach.
Yeah. 100%.
They pay sponsors?
I don't think so, but
make sure Martha gets the payment from them.
We have a Martha, we have sponsors, we have nothing. What else? Was there anything that surprised you?
I think for me, one of the coolest things about this is that they kind of mentioned it yesterday. They're like, when Jay cold called us, and like, you never know what a cold call can turn into. Isn't it amazing what a cold call can turn? And I'm like, it's funny. Like, yeah, you're viewing it as a cold call. For context, when I originally reached out to them, I was calling to purely out of curiosity for one of their touches, which is the follow-up phone call the day after to thank you for the reservation. I wanted to know who put that in place, why. That's really it. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, Jeff has been sold to his whole life. So he's like, this guy wants something, wants to sell something. Sure, I'll take the call. I mean, I got his cell phone number right out of the gate, and he's like, I want to meet with you next time I'm in Newport Beach. I was like, okay, he lives in Scottsdale. But that was like a month later. So I'm like, well, I want to hop on a call now and ask about this, right?
Wait, why? So why did he opened that up for an in-person meeting before he even knew what you wanted?
Yeah. So it went through whoever the head person is at that location. They reached out to Jeff and said, I want to speak with him. Or I had this question. And then I got a response back from that person and said, Jeff wants to meet with you when he's in Newport Beach.
Before he knew what it was about. He must have
looked into our company.
Okay.
And he's like, wow, this is really interesting. So when I got on the phone with him, I was like, hey, I had this question. Before he answered any questions, he goes, tell me more about what you guys do. And so I was like, I'm happy to. This is not a sales pitch. But you can say that until you're blue in the face. Someone's like, it's not a sales pitch. It's a sales pitch.
Yeah,
what do you
want something.
What do you sell? You're not calling to just pat my back. I'm like, but I am, know?
Yeah.
So anyway, we got to talking about what we do and whatever, and then scheduled that dinner. And the first, 20, 30 minutes of the dinner was about what client, because they were genuinely interested. Mm-hmm. And I gave them some ideas, and like, it was crazy last night to hear that they had implemented one and it had gone really well for the bar mitzvah.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're like, oh, that's really cool. So, time is scarce, like if you're going to go out to a nice dinner with someone, like you pretty much want it to be your wife, close friends, you're not trying to make new friends, right. Acquaintances. Obviously there's business meetings that go down, whatever. So this was more or less that, like on our first dinner. But then, a week or two later, I'm getting gifts in the mail from Oliver and Jeff for my newborn baby, and follow-up text seeing how things are going, and then requests to have dinner again. And then we have dinner again. And last night was just like having dinner with friends, and then a follow-up text again saying like, looking forward to like, let's get another one on the books before the end of summer. Like,
yeah.
So I guess my point is, it's really refreshing and cool to like sit with like-minded individuals that don't have an agenda, and we don't have an agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, so much in fact that we're spitting off ideas back and forth. They're taking the ideas around. There's nothing in it for us at all, and maybe we'll work together, maybe we won't. Who cares? The fact that it's almost like a mastermind group of friendship,
totally.
And it's just really refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah. I even said that to them last night. It was like, do you know how rare it is that we sit with people or have calls with people or Zooms or whatever it is that like operate in this way naturally?
Yeah.
And they've been doing it for a lot longer than we have. Right? Like they've been operating like this for 35 years. We were little kids. Don't make a comment. I was still a little kid.
Or that little in college. Yeah. I guess one thing was before we sat down, we were talking about AI a little bit, just to switch gears, just a little whoop.
Sure. Little. But remember, next week I think we might try to make this Merry Maker thing work.
Okay. Well,
sneaker makers.
So, AI, the final frontier. It's a lot of things are going that way. Whatever. It's kind of a belabored, like boring topic to me at this point, because it's just like it's obvious and there's nothing new about it. But what actually was very interesting to me was yesterday, in our Slack new sales channel. You see deals come through, whatever. So this deal comes through like 7 a.m. and is like tens of thousands of dollars. And usually there's a source behind it. Where did it come from? The source was ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what does that mean? And so I went to the...
Did you really think that? You literally haven't used Google in 6 months.
I know. That's what's so crazy about it, is that, I mean, I'm on ChatGPT like realistically probably 20 times a day. Mm-hmm. I haven't used Google for probably a year, maybe 3 times in a year, so I rely so heavily on it, yet I still couldn't connect the dots as to how did this deal come through ChatGPT. So I asked the account, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I'm almost thinking like they're self-prospecting and they're finding contacts through ChatGPT and whatever. And they're like, no. We are the number one solution when it comes to client gifting when asked on ChatGPT, and sent me the screenshots of it. And then I spoke with more people on the team and they're like, dude, this is happening all the time. Like, we're getting so much inbound from ChatGPT.
Yep.
And it just got me thinking like, wow, that is incredibly powerful. Like, one of the things I said when we first launched ClientGiant was after the first year, it was obviously cool to see what we had built and see what we had done and get people to trust us, give us money for this promise of here's what we're going to do for your people and trust us with that personal relationship. But what was way cooler and what was way more validating was when the renewals would hit. Because anyone can get duped into spending money, especially when it's perceived as marketing or you're going to grow my business. Okay, I'm going to just throw out this Hail Mary. Maybe it happens. But when it renews year over year, it's like, that's validating. It means it works. Similarly, with ChatGPT, this isn't paid Google search. This isn't a sponsored ad. This isn't SEO. This is data online that is being aggregated and pulled when asked, what's the best, most effective client gifting solution? Boom. ClientGiant number one. That to me made my day yesterday. And that's usually my job.
Oh, it makes somebody's day. And it's also that what's interesting is that I don't think there's no real field of there
Glory.
is. What's that? Field of glory. No, there are like parts of the industry that are specializing in what's called GEO versus SEO, meaning like how to actually improve the results that happen in a learning language model.
Sure. So it's going to get manipulated and there'll be efforts there, but
at this point,
we haven't made those efforts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what's kind of incredible is like this is a result of people telling it things.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because I actually ran that search this morning to see if I would get the exact same results.
Yeah.
And it did give me the same results that you showed, but right next to the one that says ClientGiant, it says it gives a winky face, and in parentheses it says, you probably know about this. You might even own it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it's heard me say a whole bunch of, of things about the company all over the place. But
maybe next week we could actually talk a little bit about our meeting with Mr. Scott Miller as well.
Sure.
That's a freshie. That's a freshie topic too.
Sure. And the changing industry of book publishing.
Yeah, that sounds super exciting.
I mean, well, maybe we invite Scott Miller. Not next week, of course, but
sure. This afternoon, we're off to have another meeting with our true friend, our one and only Mr. Tom Ferry.
Mr. Tom Ferry. Am I going to beat him at golf? Honest question. I haven't golfed with him. I couldn't go last time. Remember I was sick? I'm going to find out.
I had 2 birds last time.
Really? At Shady?
2 birds at Shady, yeah. All right, well, I guess that's it. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, review. Do whatever takes 15 seconds or less. We would sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you.
Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear.
Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't fuzzy, was he?